Are you a crab in a bucket? Are you the crabs in the bucket, or are you the crab trying to crawl out of the bucket? Or both sometimes. Okay, welcome to official Module 1. So I'm going to keep all these pretty brief. I'm going to try to keep them around the 5-minute mark, maybe 5 to 10 minute, because I want to cover some topics. Boom, 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 boom. Get through them, and I want them to sink in. I want them to be repeatable. Listen again if you need to. So first topic here I want to cover is, this is not a hobby. This needs to be your life. I don't know why you're in this group. I don't know what kind of business you're starting. Maybe you haven't even started a business, but you know you want to do something. You're like me in the early days. You know what I did? The first thing I did is I took old Star Wars toys I had in the basement. I had to move back home with my parents after the military, didn't know what to do, couldn't pay rent, moved back home with my family, had a bunch of old Star Wars toys that I would watch tons of YouTube videos on how to paint things, and I would chop off their limbs and use clay and repurpose their You know what? Hold on. I have one right here. I still kept a few. Okay, so for example, I have this flame trooper, new first order flame trooper. So you see this base. Oh, where's my camera? So I made the base. I went to Michael's and I, bought it. And I bought some little what's it called? Pebbles and moss. I made him look, battle worn and so the limbs, you look at the limbs. Hold on, where's his arm? I don't know if you can see that, but it's clay. Like I cut it off, and same with this arm. I cut it off and I, made it look. So my point is, it was a hobby and it was fun. And I actually made my first sale. I'll post it in the comments. If I don't know if there's comments on these things. If there is, I'll post it. My first sale ever was a clone trooper helmet from Toys R Us that I repurposed and made look awesome. I sold it to some kid in Quebec, I think. And I was so excited. It's my first sale. Excuse me. But I realized very quickly, and by the way, I got good. If I can post photos, I'll post more of a Millennium Falcon Bandai kit that I made for this guy. I used oil paints and oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I was really good at doing all this model work and turning, Star Wars orange looking guns into like movie looking props, right? But I realized pretty quickly, that's a hobby. It's not a business. I can't really scale this. As much as I was having fun doing it, what the market wants is not necessarily what I want. And so the first thing you have to realize, and this is kind of a twofold principle, you have to accept in your own life, in your own heart, this is not a hobby, this is a lifestyle. This needs to become your life. Becoming an entrepreneur is a step into a direction of changing your entire perspective and shift on the world, right? But in addition to that, you have to make sure whatever you're doing is also not a hobby you're trying to make a business. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes you painting water bottles can turn into some custom metal bottle business. You know what? Crazier things have happened. But first things first, if you're prepared to go down this path, if you're prepared to have family and friends not understand you, not agree with you, make fun of you, are you prepared to lose friends? Are you prepared to potentially walk in isolation for a period of time? A refinement process that you need to go through. Are you prepared to go through these things? Watch any movie where there's a hero. Watch Hercules, the OG cartoon. He goes on this journey alone through and that scene where he's like walking up the mountain and he's like slowly becomes a man. Obviously it's exaggerated and it's fast and it's a cartoon, but that's the hero's journey. You look at Captain America, right? He already had this spirit. He's willing to dive on a grenade. He was willing to, die for his friends and sacrifice himself. And success is when preparedness and opportunity meet. Steve Rogers was prepared, and then he had the opportunity. When those things came together, ba-boom, Captain America, right? But think about everything he had to go through, the transformative process. He had to lose his best friend in the war. Spoiler alert. He had to become a soldier. He had to sacrifice. He got frozen in ice. He, the love of his life turned old because he was frozen for frickin' 50 years or whatever. Just think of all these things. Do you want to go through that? Because we always look at Captain America and Endgame and we think, I want that. But Captain America and Endgame had to go through everything else. He had to walk through the mud and go through the heartbreak, and he had to go through so much to become that person. If you know who John Maxwell is, John C. Maxwell, someone I highly recommend to start listening to, learning from, reading his books. Leader Shift is one of the good ones. Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. Some of these are his OG books. Excuse me. Leadership 101, stuff like that. John Maxwell once had I've actually met him a couple times. We got a couple books back there signed by him. And I heard him say before that some kid came up to him one time after a conference and he said, "You know what, sir? I want to do what you do. I just, I see all the people you impact. I see how much money you make. Like, I want to do this." By the way, John charges like $100,000 an hour, I think, to speak. Something like that. Something crazy. And so John said to him in his beautiful voice, he said, "Oh, isn't that great? Well, if you want to do what I do you want to do what I did so that I can now do what I do?" And this is the point I'm making. So I'll wrap it up right now by saying this. People will not understand you. Sometimes you will not understand you. This will be harder than you think, and it will take longer than you think. It will require a total shift of your mind, of your body, of your soul, of your direction in life. You will be unsure a lot. You will be alone a lot. But ultimately, and something I've come to believe, I may be wrong about this, but I don't think everyone is cut out for this. I really don't. And when I say this, I mean to be an entrepreneur. Now, you could be in this group and say, "Josh, this is really intense. Like, I just want to grow myself." Awesome. Yeah, that's fine. But I think even if you're in this just to grow yourself, you're going to outgrow people and things in your life. You're still going to go through this in some way. It might be a little bit less intense, but you're still going to, if you are actively growing and those around you are not, you'll get to the point where you're like, I don't want to hang out with these people anymore. They actually pull me down. Have you ever heard of the analogy of crabs in a bucket? You don't need a lid if you have more than one crab in a bucket, because as soon as they try to crawl out, they'll pull each other down. Are you a crab in a bucket? Are you the crabs in the bucket, or are you the crab trying to crawl out of the bucket? Or both sometimes. So, I recommend 2 books to get started. I don't know why I keep going over here. My camera's here. The 2 main books I recommend to start reading ASAP. ASAP. Number 1 is The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. Now, it does have some Christian elements, especially near the end, where it kind of discusses the parable that it tells in the story. Just take what my old mentors used to call the shopping cart mentality. If you don't believe this stuff, great. Take the wisdoms that you can from it and put the rest on the shelf, okay? But it's the first half of the book that's the most important. This is the analogy, the parable, the story of the dream giver. Please read this book. It's short. The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. The second book I would recommend is The Go-Giver, similar names, I know. The Go-Giver by Bob Burg, and I forget the other guy's name. I'm so sorry, other guy. If I can put it in the comment section, I'll put it there. But The Dream Giver and The Go-Giver. Please read these 2 books and talk to me about it. Write what you're learning about in the chat or in the discussion page on the main page here. Let's talk about this. I love these books. I've read these books so many times by myself, or for myself, I should say. On top of that, little extra, Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Great little book. It'll take you like maybe 2 hours to read the whole thing, start to front or start to back. So The Dream Giver, The Go-Giver, Who Moved My Cheese. I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure my screen totally just turned off. I don't want to edit these. These are going to be just raw, real. Okay, no, that's it. Okay, lesson over. See you in the next one.